Welcome to another series of our bariatric cooking classes. Today we're making a healthy dish that potentially you could bring to some of the holiday gatherings. So what we're making today is a cauliflower mashed potatoes. So in this particular recipe, we are using both cauliflower and mashed potatoes. What we're going to use to flavor this recipe is salt, pepper, and some rosemary that I've minced, and also garlic and olive oil. So it's going to taste fantastic. All right, so the first step is we have about half a pound here of cauliflower that I just rinsed, and we're going to cut in big chunks. And I have 1 pound of the Yukon Gold potatoes. The Yukon Gold potatoes are excellent potatoes for boiling and mashing. So to make as mashed potatoes, they're very starchy. They have a natural buttery flavor to them. So even though we're not adding any butter, they naturally have a little bit of that flavor in them. So these are perfect for boiling and mashing. I do not recommend that you use the russet potatoes for boiling and mashing because they do absorb an incredible amount of water, which can make the mashed potato difficult to taste good, and the Yukon Gold potatoes are really the best for this particular recipe. Okay, so the first step is we grab the garlic cloves. I've got 2 garlic cloves for this amount of cauliflower and potato. Garlic is to taste. Some people like a hint of garlic, some people like heavy garlic, so you decide how much garlic you want to put in there. I've got 1 pretty large garlic clove and a medium garlic clove. So I'm just gonna peel it real quick. That's my favorite way of peeling a garlic clove. If you have a different way, I would love to know. I've known some people that put the garlic cloves inside a little cup with water and leave them there for a few minutes before cooking, and the peel comes off. I tried that once and it didn't work. I guess I may have not left the garlic in there too long or long enough. All right, so I cut the tips out. I don't want that in my recipe. I'm gonna drizzle it with some olive oil, seasoned with salt. And I preheated the oven to 350 degrees. It's already hot, so I'm gonna put this garlic clove in the oven for 15 minutes. The next step would be to boil the cauliflower and the potato. So I already have a large pot of boiling water in there with some salt. I have my cauliflower, which is cut in big chunks, and I'm gonna boil the potatoes whole. Then it'll be really easy to peel. You can peel them ahead of time, cut them in smaller chunks, and then add them to the water. The benefit of that is that the cooking time is gonna be less than putting them whole. So it just depends on how much time you have to work with. So I'm gonna put the potatoes first. These are gonna take anywhere between 25 to 35 minutes, and then I'm gonna put the cauliflower in. These only need about 15 minutes, so I'm gonna boil these first. The garlic has baked for 15 minutes in a 350 degree oven. So let me take that out. It should be soft already. The smell, oh my gosh, it's fantastic. All right, so for now, I'm not gonna do anything with the garlic yet. The potatoes have been boiling for about 20 minutes. So now I'm gonna add the cauliflower in there. The cauliflower will be done in about 15 minutes. Then I'll check the potatoes and see if they need a little bit longer. The cauliflower has been boiling for 15 minutes, so I'm going to remove that from the boiling water. I've got my bowl here. And what I'm going to do is I've got a food processor here. We're gonna process the cauliflower with the garlic, olive oil, and the seasonings. So I've got my 2 garlic cloves that have been softened in the oven. I'm gonna add the cauliflower in there. And you know, it's so soft it easily breaks even with my little whatchamacallit spatula thingy here. Cauliflower, once it's cooked, it's got a pretty mild flavor, so it really just takes in the flavor of whatever seasoning you add to it. The potatoes are actually almost done, so I'm gonna leave them in the boiling water just while I make the cauliflower puree to get those right to the point that they need to be. So I'm gonna season this generously because then we're gonna mix this puree with the potato. So it's gonna seem like I'm adding way too much of everything, but it's because this is then gonna mix in with the potatoes. I have about half a tablespoon of the rosemary. I'm just gonna add everything in there. And about a tablespoon of olive oil. I'm gonna close this and puree it. The bottom part looks pretty well pureed, but I see some bits kind of hanging out in the sides of the blender, so I'm just gonna grab a spatula and scrape the sides and then give it another stir. I'm scraping. This smells good. It smells like the garlic and the rosemary. I'm gonna repeat this process until I see that it's completely pureed. And if you want to take a close look, you can see the cauliflower is already pretty well pureed. I don't see that it's super duper smooth, so I'm gonna scrape the sides again and give it another swirl, maybe another 20 seconds. That's why it's important to have a very good food processor, because the food processor is gonna get this cauliflower really nice and pureed, almost like potatoes. All right, that should be done. So now I'm gonna remove the potatoes from the boiling water. I'm gonna turn the heat off, and I'm not gonna get rid of this water because this water can be used while we're mashing the potatoes and mixing it in with the cauliflower in case we need a little bit more moisture into the puree. These are really, really hot, so I'm gonna let them cool down another minute or two, and then I'm gonna peel them. Okay, now the potatoes are a little bit more cooled. I'm gonna peel them. So the peel does come off really easy at this point. So these potatoes actually took closer to like 40 minutes to be fully cooked, and that's because we're throwing in whole potatoes into the pot. So again, if you don't have that kind of time, then just before throwing the potatoes into the pot, peel them, cut them in smaller chunks, and that way the potato will cook much faster. Maybe even take about 20 minutes, no more than that. All right, so let's mash these babies. Oh, they're so easy to mash. Yep, that was easy. They're perfectly cooked. I don't want to work the potato too much because I'm going to mix it in with the cauliflower puree. All right. You can see how smooth that looks. It looks like a sauce. I mean, that's the benefit of the cauliflower is if you cook it well enough and then you have a good food processor, it'll puree really, really smoothly. I think, again, this is a very important step because if you don't want people to know that there's cauliflower in there, you have to make it as smooth as possible. Now we're gonna mix it in together. And I'm looking at this and I can tell that it's not 50-50 cauliflower potato. So I think next time a little bit more than half a pound of cauliflower, maybe closer to a pound, or 3/4 of a pound. All right, so remember the cauliflower puree already has the seasoning in it. So I'm gonna mix this really well, taste it, and then adjust the seasonings based on my personal taste. The only thing that needs to be added is about a tablespoon of olive oil. Mix it in, and then you're ready to serve. I'm gonna mash it a little bit more. And it's really moist, so I don't think any of the reserved boiling water needs to be used. It's definitely perfectly moist. If you have a potato ricer, you can make the potato a lot more smooth. So all I have is this in my house, which it still works, but you can still see a little bit of chunks of the potato. So if you like your mashed potatoes to be completely smooth, then you want to invest on a potato ricer. So this was really, really easy. Really, it just took a little bit of time to boil, but other than that, very easy procedure. Hopefully this gives you a healthy dish idea that you can bring to a family gathering and show them that a healthy recipe can really taste really good. So who would think there's cauliflower in there? This looks like mashed potatoes. All right, so I hope you enjoy.